Hi, and welcome to another educational session. On this tutorial, I'm going to write a quote for the very first time using a very dark walnut ink, a Brause 3mm nib, and you're more than welcome to use your tool of choice. And I always use a red fine liner as well. Okay, let me move. This is what the writing is going to look like, which is modern Carolingian, and we are going to write the quote for the first time together. Okay. Um, I published another video with a quote by Stephen Hawking, and in there I explain the type of paper, alternative nibs, what do I do to set up my writing station, and the rest. Now, we are going to go into it directly today. Okay, let's zoom in. So, the quote for today says, I'm thrashing on the line somewhere between desperate and divine. You will find the quote's author on the description of this video and a lot of other resources. You also will be able to download this guideline for free and many more information. All right. Okay. So on these videos, as you know, if you have seen any of them already, I write a lot more than I talk just because I try to get into the writing flow. So let's start. Um, I typed, not typed, I've written the quote in pencil for me here, trying not to make spelling mistakes, although I have to be very careful because this word, thrashing, I'm not familiarized with, so I have to be very, very careful to avoid a spelling mistake. So I'm starting with a capital I from skeleton Roman capitals. So I go up to the cap height or ascender height, which is the same, and I have an apostrophe here, so of course it's up to you. I'm just going to place it maybe at the top, and then the moment I have written a letter that has width, like this M, I'm going to be very mindful, um, trying to create the other letters with a very similar width to create the alphabet DNA already based on this M. Okay, letter T, letter H, serif, letter R, and A, S, another H, I, let me move, N, and G. All right. So I try to look at the note. I'm hoping it's correct. I should have Googled this. Double check again, triple check. Okay. On the line, so let's move a little bit more. Letter T. On. I'm gonna change now. New line. And the word is line. Somewhere. Now I'm gonna go close to the E because I have a diagonal. All right, that's a very long word. Somewhere between. Let's move a little bit more. Let's move it down so you can see the first line. Oh, another diagonal. Need to move again. Between desperate and divine. Third line. Okay. R, A, and mindful of this pair and the space in between. And I have a tendency for writing these that are really wide, so I'm going to be very careful now. That's better, but it's still slightly larger, so next time. And divine, so another one. I forgot here. Okay, another diagonal, so and E. Okay, excellent. So let's have a look and let's talk about it. All right, so what do I see? I see that you will let me know if this is correct. I'm sure that if I made a mistake, you will let me know straight away. This is a very long word. I had to go and look letter by letter to make sure I'm trying not to make a spelling mistake. Again, I focus a lot of attention in two elements. First element is that the counterforms are very, very close between each other throughout the entire quote, so that from the first letter that has with, which in this case is the M, I try to set the counterform really similar. There are pairs of letters that are very challenging, so when you have an R and an A, such as this, you have to be very careful with this space between these two pairs because it's very probable you are going to obtain a huge space, and that's what you don't want. In my opinion, in here, between the S and the H, it could be more spacing, so just open this pair slightly more. It's not a big thing, it's just a tiny detail. When I do these double story Gs, I always make sure the balance between the counterforms are correct, and then it flows well. The E's are much better on this quote, so I think I'm especially happy here. Yeah. In here is okay. I had to be careful with every time I have a diagonal because if I'm not very mindful, I might create a space between these pairs that is way too large. And in here as well, my W, I want to create three counterforms that are really similar between them. Some of these O's are better, some of these O's are so-so. This for me is a bit so-so, but it's fine for the moment. Again, I'm checking that counterforms are quite similar. That's working well. Every time I have an R inside the letter form, I need to be very mindful of the spacing I create. And in here, I just realized right now there is a spelling mistake. That's double E. So between, I was gonna say, I'm quite happy with this word. Well, yes, I'm still happy with the word, but I need an additional E. So this is These are the type of things that are going to happen a lot. Of course, when I'm doing a video, I don't have the same level of concentration and focus that when I'm doing it by myself, but it is a very good practice because things like that, it can happen on your own. It can happen without distractions or without recording a video, and you have to be very, very present on the page and be very aware of what you are doing, because if you start looking at letters only, which is what happens a lot of the times, you forget what you're writing. So missing one E in here. Uh, Again, longer word, trying to work with the spacing. In my opinion, this D is way too large. So I have a tendency for doing that. So I just need to be very mindful of that. Here, this could be a slightly smaller, in my opinion, the counter form of the A. The E's are good. This D is much better, and this D is much better, and very happy with the flow in here. I'm looking at the space and how they change the space between the pairs of letters and the relationship between the space and the counter forms. So that's another quote. I hope this is very helpful. Let me know if you have any questions and if you want to learn more about this specific style. This type of writing, specifically, it's called the lowercase is modern Carolingian. The uppercase is skeleton Roman capitals, and this belongs to my level 1 course called Introduction to Foundational Hand. Thank you very much again. I'll see you soon.